You may have heard good things about single member LLCs, but in many situations, they may not give you the protection you need, and I'm about to explain why in this video. This video topic comes to us from Marquise Taylor because he commented on one of my videos. Marquise asked, "Can you do a video on single member LLCs? I appreciate your videos a lot and your father Garrett Sutton's books that he wrote on these subjects as well. Very knowledgeable and important information." Well, thanks, Marquise. So what is a single member LLC? Well, at its very basic level, it's an LLC with only one member. And there are a few benefits that come with being a single member LLC. The first is the tax flexibility. Single member LLCs can be taxed as C Corps, S Corps, or disregarded entities. The second benefit with single member LLCs is their management flexibility. They can either be member managed, where the ownership and the management is the same, or they can be manager managed, where the ownership and the management is different. And this can come in handy because the single member LLC owner can hire an outside manager to come in and manage the company for them. And the third benefit is the limited liability protection if your business is sued. But in some states, this is starting to change for the worse, and I'm about to explain why. The biggest drawback with single member LLCs is that courts are starting to crack down on single member LLCs in some states. And there are recent court cases in Colorado and Kentucky that are starting to weaken the single member LLC protection. In these weaker states, the limited liability protection of single member LLCs is not as good if you're sued personally. And an example of a personal lawsuit is when you get into a car wreck and that car wreck victim sues you as an individual. And if you're sued, you lose in court, and you have a single member LLC that person can collect from. In a weaker state, it's much easier for that person to reach into the single member LLC and collect from its assets. So this may be confusing to some of you, but let me explain to you how this works. So if you lose in court, that car wreck victim is most likely going to get a charging order on your interest in the single member LLC to satisfy their judgment against you. So what is a charging order? Well, a charging order is a lien on the distributions from that single member LLC. And this means that the only way that that car wreck victim can collect from the single member LLC is if you make distributions out of it. Now, in good states like Nevada and Wyoming, this charging order is the exclusive remedy for that car wreck victim to collect from that single member LLC. But if you don't make any distributions and your single member LLC is in a weaker asset protection state, that car wreck victim will have other remedies against you. One of these remedies is a foreclosure. And this is where the court can force you to sell your interest in the single member LLC to satisfy that car wreck victim's judgment. And when this happens, you lose your business entirely. And the second remedy that they have is through a reverse veil piercing. And this remedy allows the car wreck victim to reach inside of the single member LLC and seize its assets from it to satisfy their judgment. So in other words, they're able to pierce the corporate veil from the other side and reach the assets inside the single member LLC. Foreclosures and reverse veil piercings are very scary things. And the truth is, they're far more likely to happen in a weaker asset protection state. And some of you may be wondering, why are these remedies available when you have a single member LLC? Well, there's one big reason here. That's because with a single member LLC, there's no innocent member that needs to be protected. So if the single member LLC is sold or its assets are seized, there's no innocent second member that had nothing to do with the lawsuit with the car wreck victim. And on the other hand, if your LLC is a multi-member LLC and the court orders a foreclosure or a reverse veil piercing, then the second member of that LLC who had nothing to do with the car wreck would certainly be harmed. And if you were him, would you want that car wreck victim owning the business with you? Probably not. So here's the solution to this conundrum. The first thing you can do is, if you have a single member LLC in a weaker asset protection state, you can make it a multi-member LLC. And you can do so by adding a second member. Maybe this person can be your wife, your kid, your business partner, or maybe even another business entity. And if you've already formed a single member LLC in a weaker asset protection state and you don't want to add a new person, then you must treat your LLC and your personal affairs separately. Now, setting up the LLC is one thing, but treating the LLC differently after it's been formed is another. And if you have a single member LLC in a weaker state, you certainly don't want to commingle funds between your LLC and your personal bank account. And on top of that, you certainly don't want to engage in any shady transactions. Because here's the thing, if you have a single member LLC in a weaker asset protection state and you don't treat it differently than your personal affairs, the courts won't either, and you can get into a lot of trouble when that happens. But if you do treat it separately, then the likelihood of having a foreclosure or a reverse veil piercing happen to you significantly goes down. I also have a new book called The 5 Tricks to Teach Your Kids About Money. You can download the book for free by clicking the link in the description below. If you're looking to start a business, you can schedule a free 15-minute consultation with us at Corporate Direct by also clicking the link in the description below. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and turn on that notification bell. And I should warn you, the contents of this video are not legal advice and no attorney-client relationship has been formed.